Yo, bro, have you seen The Social Dilemma on Netflix? Yeah, I just tweeted about it. I know, it's crazy. I'm deleting all my social media. We gotta spread awareness about this. I made a Facebook group. I just can't believe no one's talking about this on the gram. It's all good though. I'm about to make a YouTube video about it. Wait. Alright, welcome to Tait's Take. If you're new here, I do movie and TV reviews. Give you a little background, basically let you know if I think it's worth checking out or not. If that's something you're into, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for your boy. For my regular Tait's Takers, let's double click into The Social Dilemma. The Social Dilemma is a 2020 documentary directed by Jeff Orlowski. Jeff is an award-winning documentary filmmaker who made 2 movies about climate change, Chasing Ice and Chasing Coral. Apparently the coral reefs are disappearing. Okay. The Social Dilemma debuted this year at Sundance, but it was shot back in 2018 and 2019. However, they were still able to make edits to it in 2020, which is why you'll see references to like COVID-19 and things like that. The film was made to show the rise of social media and the damage it's caused to society. It has a long list of tech experts speaking up against the monster that they created. It focuses on how users like you and me are exploited for financial gain through surveillance and using our data. Data? No, it's data. The main point they're making here is that social media is designed to feed our addiction to it. That addiction leads to its successful use in politics, its negative effect on our mental health, and its role in spreading conspiracy theories. Okay, I'm listening. Alright, plot time, kinda. The Social Dilemma is actually a docudrama. What the hell is a docudrama? It's kind of like Unsolved Mysteries. You know, like when the guy's talking, but at the same time there's actors acting out the scenes? So in between the commentary we're getting from these tech experts, the documentary flips back and forth to a story about a family who's having a hard time disconnecting. It's like Osmosis Jones. You remember Osmosis Jones? Like in that movie, you see how the different parts are working together. It's kind of like a behind the scenes look at what's happening in your body. In The Social Dilemma, it's the same thing, but it's a behind the scenes look at what's happening in your phone and how it's constantly working to keep you on it. First of all, let me just say I've been talking about this documentary all week with my boy Gio. What's up? I finally got around to watching it. I grabbed the remote and I said, you know what? When I open up Netflix, this is going to be the suggested video. And of course it was. Is it creepy that Netflix is listening to my conversations? Yeah. But was it also cool that I'd have to scroll for it? Yeah, it was cool. Anyway, let's get into it. Let me start by explaining what the film is trying to get across. It's highlighting 3 different dilemmas that come with our obsession with social media. First is the mental health dilemma. A recent study showed that higher social media use correlated to a self-reported decline in mental and physical health and life satisfaction. Persuasive design techniques like push notifications and an endless scroll of your newsfeed have created a feedback loop that keeps us glued to our devices. Not to mention what it's doing to kids, because there's been a significant increase in self-harm and suicides in teenagers since 2010. Second is the democracy dilemma. The film states that the number of countries with political disinformation campaigns on social media has doubled in the past 2 years. There's actually a scene where someone explains that Russia didn't hack Facebook to influence our election. They just used it as it was intended. What? Third is the discrimination dilemma. 64% of the people who joined extremist groups on Facebook did so because the algorithm steered them there. Algorithms promote content that amplifies biases living within the data that we feed it. There's a good example about climate change that touches on this.
When you go to Google and type in climate change is, you're going to see different results depending on where you live and the particular things that Google knows about your interests.
That's not by accident.
That's crazy, right? So what's my take? This is a must-watch documentary. Now I see why the director took this project on after those 2 movies on climate change. Because actually, some people have called this social media phenomenon the climate change of culture. And that's deep. I don't know anyone that can't get something from this. It really shines some light on how crazy social media can make us. It really has people doing the wildest things. Like, did y'all know there's a new trend called Snapchat dysmorphia? Okay, cool. That's when people are getting cosmetic surgery to look like their Snapchat filters. What I mean is, people are going to their doctors and saying, make me look like this. Does that come with the fucking dog ears and the tongue thing? Why does Snapchat exist? There's also been research by Harvard that shows when you get a social media notification, your brain sends a dopamine signal that makes you feel good. Yes, that's the same dopamine that's associated with food, exercise, love, sex, gambling, and drugs. You ever checked your pocket because you thought your phone was buzzing, but it wasn't buzzing? There's a real name for that. Phantom vibration syndrome? What the hell? We're being haunted by the socials. You ever find yourself going down a random YouTube rabbit hole, then you end up on some Joe Rogan interview about the moon landing? These aren't random. Then there's all the fake news. There's a stat in the documentary that says that fake news travels 6 times faster than real news. And I get it, because just this week, people in New Jersey were going crazy about a UFO flying in the sky. The video had over 4 million views on TikTok, and it was on WorldStar, so it hit the streets too.
This is literally a fucking UFO. A light was like shining from it, and it was moving in like circles, like it was going like this. Like,
come to find out, it was the Goodyear blimp, literally recording the Giants' Monday Night Football game. And honestly, that's why the real aliens won't come here anyway. What could they possibly learn from us? The point is, I saw that UFO story everywhere. I didn't see that Goodyear statement until I went to go look for it. Anywho, the film is very eye-opening, but there's still a couple arguments for the other side. One of those is on the conspiracy theory and extremist groups front. The documentary would have us believe that platforms like Facebook and YouTube are helping to feed radicalization. But some of these recent radical movements and acts of violence weren't using these platforms at all. Just some really small forums without any help from the algorithm. Another thing I noticed is that they don't spend much time talking about all the good that social media has done and is doing. I mean, thanks to Facebook, I was able to reconnect with my crush from the 3rd grade. She's married now. In all seriousness, the one positive that the lead expert in the film references is being able to get a ride in 30 seconds. I like Uber as much as the next guy, but The Verge recently reported that Snapchat got over 400,000 people registered to vote by building it into their app. Not to mention all the social justice protests and fundraising that social media has helped organize. I get it. At the core, there's clearly a problematic undertone to the machine. I just wish they spent a little bit more time on the other side of the coin. That same Uber guy spoke about how addicting he literally made Gmail, but he doesn't spend any time talking about the work culture that we live in that makes it okay to even need to be checking it all day. The last thing I'll say that this documentary could have done better was give a clear stance on, okay, so what do we do about all this? But here are some tips that they do suggest on disconnecting. First, understand your usage. The average person spends over 135 minutes a day on social media, and that number grew even higher in the pandemic. Using the screen time function on the iPhone helps you monitor how much time you're actually spending on your phone. If you have an Android, get an iPhone. I don't know what you're waiting for. I'm just kidding. No, they have digital well-being, which will essentially do the same thing as screen time. Number 2, shut off your notifications. The average person gets 63 notifications per day. The number's probably 93 if you're a real one. Try turning them off. Take back your life. Number 3, create limits. Like for example, right now I set up an app limit of 1 hour per workday for Instagram. When that hour is up, technically I could just ask for more time, but usually I don't. I just take my talents to TikTok. I'm just kidding. You can also set time limits, like no phone for the first hour when you wake up. I don't know what you would do without that morning scrolly. Like, yo, talk to him. You can have no phone at dinner. You could even say no phone in the bedroom. One of the contributors to the documentary created an app called Moment. Moment helps you monitor your phone time and encourages you to step away from it as much as you can. But even with the Moment app, I went to go sign up and it's asking me to allow it to know my location. Then it's asking me to allow it to send me notifications. And then it asks for my email address so it can gently send me notes so it can check in on my progress. I go to the freaking Social Dilemma website. They're asking me to accept all cookies. I don't know if we could really escape this trap. I remember when I first got on Facebook. You remember the good old days when it was college only? Anyway, I thought it was so amazing that we got to use this awesome site for free. But the documentary will remind you, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. I'm gonna give the Social Dilemma 5 stars. Besides the actual little side story, this was very well done and I think everyone needs to watch it. I'm curious to see what people think of it and if any social media patterns changed because of it. Y'all remember the documentary Super Size Me? Yes, Nikel, that's the one I watched while eating a Big Mac. Not only was that one of the highest grossing documentaries of all time, but 6 weeks after it came out, McDonald's literally discontinued the supersize option. Moment of silence. The point is, we valued our body enough to cut back on fast food, but do we have the capacity to also see the social media movement as detrimental to our health? I don't know the answer to that, but I'm sure someone's gonna tweet about it. As always, thanks for checking out Tate's Take. Before you delete all your social media, make sure you hit that like and that subscribe button. In the comments, let me know if there's anything you guys are doing right now to take a break from social media or just your phone in general. I appreciate the time, y'all. Thanks.